Welcome to another mobile edition of Crime Time with DutyRon. Guys and girls, I am a retired New York City police detective. And if you like all things true crime related from the police detective perspective, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you will get all things DutyRon and Ed Wallace when we go live or upload another video. Tonight, I wanted to talk to you. Well, today, I want to talk to you about tonight's live stream. We're going to be talking about the Debbie Collier case, 59-year-old real estate, a mom, a wife, a sister, uh, you know, law-abiding citizens by all means, a law-abiding citizen. She led a very clean, giving life. We're going to talk about her demise and what happened to her on the fateful day, September 10th, going into September 11th. But we're going to talk about that from a crime scene forensics perspective. And I hope you guys can get some appreciation for this because we're going to have Ed Wallace, who is a retired crime scene unit detective from the NYPD. He spent 15 years investigating all kinds of murder cases, all kinds of crime scenes, and he's collected evidence at multiple. I have the figures at home. It's over 1,000. I think it's close to 1,598 crime scenes Ed has processed. So Ed Wallace is going to break down the crime scene, the actual evidence, the vehicle, the surrounding areas, and we're going to go into it. But before I get into that, I want to say a special thank you to the Patreon supporters, the channel members, and all of the folks who positively engage in this community. You guys are what makes it a great place. And I want to give thanks and praise to each and every one of you. I want to say thank you for your questions, for your leaving comments and engaging with us. The engagement is second to none. What you guys do and the questions that you ask Ed and I are just nothing shy of amazing. So thank you for that. Lieutenant Pete Pranzo, great to see you. Hello, boss. Good to see you. And Richella, thank you for joining. Plant Lover, how are you? Good to see you. Lexi, thank you, everyone, for coming on in. Alicia B's here. Dr. Ed Moskowitz and Julie is here. Lorna McKenzie, great to see you. And listen, we want to send prayers to everybody affected down in Florida, the west coast of Florida and the east coast of Florida. And now we're looking into South Carolina and North Carolina are obliterated. These folks have taken such a direct hit from Hurricane Ian and the after effects, the storm surge and so forth. There is years of rebuilding to be done there. So I want to send prayers, strength, and positive vibes to those folks. All right, let's jump into it. Debbie Collier, 59 years old, a real estate agent, a manager, real estate manager of not an agent, real estate manager, office manager. She's got no criminal past. She, as we all know, we see her going into that Family Dollar store in Clayton, Georgia. She lives in Athens, and it was very odd and off-putting that she was dressed the way she was dressed and going about her day, but she was 50 some odd miles away from her home. It just didn't make sense. So I had to put it all together and I had to look at this stuff. And Ed and I agreed when you guys were what made us pick this case up. You guys sent in to dutyron.com so many messages and tips about this case. And hey, did you see this part? Did you see this part? Did you see about the Venmo transactions? Did you see her daughter? Did you see the daughter's boyfriend? And again, investigation 101 is very, very meticulous. There is all types of victimology that goes on, and you got to talk about what happened to this woman, and you got to look at the people around her. You look at her husband, you look at her son, uh, her daughter and her boyfriend, not the son. You look at everybody from her sister to her cousins, her aunts, her uncles, everybody that's still alive that engages with her. You look at all of these folks and you work your way out. You check off the ones that check out, like the husband had his alibi. He went to work at the parking garage. So this is a general overview, but we look at the crime scene, and the crime scene and the digital forensics is what's going to solve this case. This case is going to be solved by digital forensics, DNA, and all of the collected evidence and missteps, the mistakes and missteps of the people who are responsible for committing this heinous crime. And I say people or peoples, plural, because there could be one or more people who are involved in this homicide, right? We're all looking at the daughter's boyfriend, right? He's the most logical suspect. He's the most logical one. But it's not that easy. You can't just say because he's got a criminal past and he's acting erratic and he's had many arrests, and I have his rap sheet and I have Amanda's rap sheet. Amanda has been arrested for something as for it varies from faking drug tests to assault and battery to violations of order of protection and cross complaints. And it was a tumultuous relationship that she has and she still has going on with Andrew, the boyfriend. She's 36. He has been no slouch in the law enforcement eye. He's been in and out of trouble with law enforcement for quite some time. But both of their tech has been taken from them, their phones. And if they have computers or laptops or iPads, all of that stuff is taken into place. But what Ed and I are going to go into tonight, right? Hi, Sandy in Canada. Good to see you. Hi, Kimberly Culp. I answered your email. I hope you got my response. Karen B. Oh, I see so many great people here. Becky, thank you for joining. Kim, always a pleasure. Pineapple Slushy, thank you for recently becoming a channel member. Yeah, Kaz, you need evidence. You need proof. And as I said, in this case, digital forensics, the computer forensics, the phones, the data from that infotainment system. Just by a show of hands in the chat, let me know if you watched the live stream that Ed and I did on Kylie Rodney with our auto crimes expert, Tommy from the NYPD. The live stream that we did with Tom from the NYPD, Detective Tom, was a treasure trove of information. And guess what? Just a few weeks later, after we had him on, it was just 2 or 3 weeks ago, he was on with us. It comes again, comes right back up again in this case, in Debbie's case. That infotainment system in that Pacifica, now that's a late model Chrysler Pacifica, and it looked like it was one of the souped up models that had a Sirius XM satellite radio and a navigation system in it. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Every move that Debbie made that day and the days before that, every move she made, every place she went with that vehicle is documented on the infotainment system. How about those apples? So if she made a stop, right? We talk about the times, right? If she made a stop between Saturday the 10th, when she was seen at the dollar, the Family Dollar, right? The Family Dollar, she was seen there around 3:09 p.m., right? So between 3:09 p.m. and then that 10 minutes that she sat in that parking lot, and then the time that it spent for her to get to the final destination where her vehicle was recovered, that's all going to be documented on that infotainment system. The police and investigators have already removed that infotainment system. That whole unit that Tommy discussed is a computer. It maps every step of your journey. Okay. We're going to have Tommy. He's going to come back on with us on Thursday night. So mark your calendars for Thursday night. We are going to have our auto crimes and our computer crimes expert. Dennis Lane is going to come back. Our computer crimes expert, I just got off the phone with him. He's going to come back and he's going to talk to us on Wednesday. So mark your calendars. Tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, Ed Wallace is going to break down the crime scene. He's going to talk about the evidence from the decedent's body, from Debbie's body. We're going to talk about burning and fires. Can fire and charring of a body remove evidence from it? Trucker Steve, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Will rain contaminate evidence? What we know from watching all the data and all the digital media from all the media outlets that it was raining that day. And was it raining the whole day? Did it rain the night before? Um, did that vehicle move? We know that a police officer said that earlier the day before, on September 10th, he saw the car parked there. But the reason the car didn't stand out to him is because many people park. It looked like a small paved, asphalt paved little driveway off the side of the highway, right? So a lot of things, you know, in as far as the law enforcement standpoint goes, it didn't stick out to them, because they said many times people park over there and go into the woods or park there to rest. So the police officer who saw that vehicle, he didn't think anything of it. But when the Sirius XM satellite radio company and Enterprise Rent-A-Car, they want to get their property back. Enterprise Rent-A-Car got notified that Debbie Collier was reported missing, and they went like this: "Oh, that is terrible. That's awful." Enterprise says, "Oh, that's awful." But liability, where's our property? They want to know what happened to their van, their minivan. Did the minivan get stolen? Did the minivan get stolen? Was it is it being stripped right now? So these are the things that we're going to be looking at with Ed Wallace tonight. We're going to talk about the rain. We're going to talk about contamination from fire, other factors, and what evidence can be and should be collected from that scene. Now, again, remember, this is an active investigation. We do not have access to the case file, but what we do have is, again, Ed is a 15-year member he spent 15 years in the NYPD crime scene unit, and he's processed so many crime scenes over his time. So Ed has an unbelievable amount of information. We're going to talk about the outline of what these detectives and what the investigative branch that is charged with figuring out this heinous crime, what kind of capabilities do they have? And whoever is responsible for this thing is definitely probably shitting a brick right now, because that message that was sent through Venmo, that's going to be able to come back to where it originated from. They are saying right now that they don't know, but trust me, you can trust me on that. They are going to be able to know under no uncertain terms where that Venmo transaction came from, whether it was from her phone or another person's phone. Because if somebody had her login credentials, there's a two-form factor to authenticate Venmo. I know this because I use Venmo. If I was to get a new cell phone, right? If I was to get a new cell phone, say today, right? My Venmo account that's on my old cell phone, it the app will download, but I'm going to have to re-sign back into that Venmo account, and they're going to have to send me a email or a text message to verify that I am logging in from a new device. So if she had her mother's login credentials, or anybody got access to Debbie Collier's Venmo account, you need to authenticate, and that's part of a security process with Venmo, and PayPal does the same thing. So they are going to find out if that was used by her phone, and her phone was recovered at the scene. We don't know if that was the crime scene where they found that van. We don't know if she was murdered somewhere else and brought to that location and dumped there, or if the actual crime happened there because of the crime scene that was described to us. She was partially naked, partially burnt, and at the bottom of a ravine, holding on to a horrible, heinous crime, holding on to a piece of a branch of a tree. Now, you can think of all the different possibilities, how somebody could have staged her hand holding on to the tree. This can get wild in assumptions, but it's up to the investigators to figure out, under no uncertain terms, what happened to this 59-year-old woman. She didn't deserve what happened to her, and we have to we have to understand that this process is painstaking. It takes time. It needs to be done. As Barbara Butcher from the New York City Medical Examiner's Office, she's a legal medical death investigator, right? Barbara Butcher will say this over and over again, and she's going to chime in on this case as well. Barbara's going to tell us that you need to be able to do it right the first time. There is no do-overs when it comes to the forensics on in the medical examiner's office. You need to get it, and you need to get it right the first time. Debbie Hartman, thank you for checking in from South Africa. Iris Hewlett is here. Dawn Marie, another great mod and great friend. Kath, thank you for being a channel member. Joey Brooklyn, he is my head of security. He's here and always present. Thank you, Joey Brooklyn, for being here. I also saw Karen, Legal Minded Friends from the UK. Thank you for always being here and making all of the reels for me on Instagram. Karen is a great friend, and I really, really appreciate it. So again, Amanda, I saw on, I believe one of the local news outlets that the cell phone was smashed. It doesn't matter whether it was smashed or, dumped in water or whatever the case may be, or damaged. If in fact it's damaged, it doesn't matter. They take the guts of it out, they bring it into the lab, into the computer forensics lab, and they can get everything. What's great about this crime scene is that the car is not underwater. It did get wet on the outside. It was raining. A lot of things, and contamination and so forth. But Ed's going to talk to us tonight about contamination, about rain, about evidence collection. There was also a report that there was a unspent rifle round found at the scene. Now, is that a hunting location? Do people go in those woods and hunt? Is it a non-hunting location? Is that actual unspent round recovered at that scene a part of this? Did she suffer a gunshot wound? And we will talk about gunshot wounds with Ed tonight, because some gunshot wounds will go in very teeny small, depending on the caliber. And then if it exits, that's where it makes a larger imprint and impact on the body. So we're going to talk about everything tonight. I don't want to give up the shop. We're not going to go into case facts. We are only going to cover the crime scene and evidence collection. I hope everybody understands that. I'm trying to speak slow because some people tell me, DutyRon, your New York accent and the way you speak, sometimes I don't grasp what you're getting at, but I want everybody to understand that we are going to cover crime scene, the vehicle, the evidence at the scene, the evidence that could potentially be collected off of her remains, off of the interior of that vehicle, off of all of the evidence that was collected outside of that vehicle, and so forth. Ed Wallace is going to be on with me, 9 p.m. Eastern. That is linked in the description down below. It's going to be a very informative night tonight. We are going to do Forensics Friday on a Monday. For those of you, by a show of hands, who is in love with the idea of Forensics Friday with Ed Wallace? Well, 9 p.m. Eastern tonight, we're all going to be redirected. Don't worry. Thank you, Alicia B., for putting that up. But don't worry. Not only have I linked in the description what the live for tonight, we're going to be redirected to the live right after this. So you can check the notification bell and remind yourself that, oh, we got to get on at 9 p.m. Eastern and check out DutyRon and Ed Wallace. Wednesday night, we're going to have the computer crimes expert, Dennis Lane. He's a computer crimes commanding officer from the NYPD. For those of you who haven't seen Dennis Lane in action, I'm going to link down below in the description the video that he did with us on Kylie Rodney. He's going to join us. He's going to chime in on this case of Debbie Collier. It is a very, very complex case. 8 p.m. Central, Rena. Thank you. It's a complex case with a lot of moving parts. Thank you, I Love Labs. Always great to see you. Who here feels that the $2,385 Venmo payment with the statements, "They are not going to let me go. Love you. There is a key to the house in the blue flower pot by the door. Who in the chat, by a show of hands, feels like that was authentically sent by Debbie Collier, or was it sent by another person? Press a 1 if you think it's Debbie who sent it. Press a 2 if you feel that it's somebody other than her. I'm going to go ahead and press a 2 right now. Here's my number, 2. I just want to see what we got in the chat. I always like to see how these things go. All right, I'm looking at my secondary device. A lot of number 2s. Anybody with a number 1? Okay, Frequencies and Vibes says number 1. Shazzy's Trinket Jewelry says 1. Bree B says 1. If not otherwise, everybody has a number 2 and you know what? I would bet my pension on a number 2. I will bet Don Hagerman sends in a 2. Denise Oles, Arlene Wiley. I will bet my pension on a number 2. That's pretty big. That's a pretty big bet. That's like putting your last $500 on black in Atlantic City or in Vegas. But you know what? I'll put it down every day, any day on this one, because if she was going to send a text message like that, if she was going to message her daughter and say they're not going to let me go, wouldn't it be reasonable and sensible? Wouldn't a reasonable person say that she would say, Felipe and such, or whoever, Joe Blow has me, Vivian has me, then they're not going to let me go. Wouldn't you think if she took the time to send that long message in a Venmo payment in that parking lot, that she would have taken the time to say, so-and-so is involved in this. If you don't see me ever again, or she could have just put their names in that chat. Bill and Phil, Ron and Ed, anything. It doesn't matter. If she was under duress, Snazzy Trinkets, do you think that if she was under duress that she would have been able to send that extensive, lengthy message? You think someone under distress would be able to type out that much? All right, it comes right back to being reasonable. And I am very reasonable. And I've investigated many crimes over my 20 years in the New York City Police Department as a detective. And I'll tell you this right now. There is no way in hell that she sent that message. Anyways, so tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Ed Wallace and I are going to cover everything crime scene related and evidence collection. So I'm going to ask you guys if you can, or if you want to participate in this. I'm going to ask you to go over to DutyRon.com. And I've just put it at the bottom right there. It says check out DutyRon.com. Go over to DutyRon.com and put questions for crime scene show tonight, or just put questions for tonight's show, and keep it pertaining to evidence collection, the vehicle, anything evidentiary wise. Keep it on topic for that, because we're not gonna sway off of that too much. Wednesday night show is going to be all things computer related, and the data that they'll be able to get from a computer crimes expert, computer crime squad commanding officer. And then Thursday night, we'll have Tommy, who will talk about the infotainment center. And that's if in between now and then there's not an arrest in this case, because I wouldn't be surprised if we see an arrest very soon. An arrest, or arrests, plural, are imminent here. Legal Minded Friends, Karen, she's an attorney from the UK. She says, no way. I think whoever did this tried to make it look like she was kidnapped for the money. That's kind of sensible. That makes sense. Go Yankees and Mets. There you go. The Mets, my Mets need a lot of help. They just got swept by the Atlanta Braves. I'm kind of pissed off about that. Yeah, Lisa, we're gonna keep our fingers crossed. Sorry, DutyRon, left duty off your name. It's okay. Don't worry about it, Kim. It's all good. All right. So again, tonight should be an informative, very, very pinpointed live stream. If you have questions about the process of evidence collection, I keep an eye out for things, and I see, people are talking on Facebook People are talking on Twitter. People are talking on Instagram. This case and even has made it over to TikTok. So if you look at all of those social media platforms, you can find Ed Wallace and I on all of those social media platforms. DutyRon straight across the board on everything social media. But there's people talking about, oh, there was evidence and gloves left behind and pieces of burnt paper towel and so forth. And there's people that are going back to the crime scene. I do not ever, ever recommend or sanction any of that type of behavior. You guys know how I feel about that. It is, it's not our job. Two wrongs don't make a right. So if allegedly the police and the investigators left stuff behind, that's horrible. That's gross. But don't go back. And my grandmother always said, two wrongs don't make a right. Don't go back and do something that you know is wrong and tromp through an area where someone was allegedly murdered. And we don't know again if that crime scene, if that happened at that scene of the recovery or if it happened somewhere else. But we do not need to go back and tromp all over that. Don't be that person and don't encourage that, because by encouraging that, you're encouraging people to do bad stuff and to do the wrong thing. Here on Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, we would never, ever, ever sanction that. And anybody that does that it's not a good thing. I don't care what your analogy is of it. Well, police made mistakes and left it there. We got to go document it. No, no. That's not how it goes. Just stay away from it. Stay away from a crime scene. Leave it so it's pristine. Leave it so it's not trampled through by gawkers and onlookers. And sometimes police have to go back to the crime scene and they have to go back and try to collect more evidence and do other further exams. And we're gonna get into that tonight with Ed Wallace. All right, guys. On behalf of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed, I want to just say thank you to all of you for giving this video a thumbs up. And if you're here now, please consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button so you'll get all things DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We are retired police detectives from the NYPD. If you like all things true crime related from a police detective's perspective, consider subscribing to this channel. Go and watch some of our other videos. Go and watch some of our other content that we put out on various cases like Gabby Petito, Summer Wells, Orrin and Orson West, Thomas Valva, Harmony Montgomery, and the list can go on and on and on about these cases that we cover. And we cover them with respect and dignity for the victims and their families. So, Dylan Rounds is still an active case. We got a lot coming down the pipe on that with EquiSearch and searching with drones and so forth. So stick around, subscribe, take the chance, come and subscribe to Ed and I don't think we'll let you down. So as I like to end all of these videos, I like to say, God bless the world, God bless the United States of America, and God bless each and every one of us here in the chat, but especially all victims of crime and their families. They need us now more than ever. Let's give thanks and praise to all of our law enforcement and all the good people that are out there that are doing God's work to help bring the missing home, like EquiSearch Midwest and Adventures with Purpose and Jacob Chaos Divers and all of the great ones out there and all the people who are doing God's work, including Heavy D Sparks and his crew. And there's so many that we don't know about. I'll talk to you soon. Love and respect, 9 p.m. Eastern. Be there or be square. Peace and love from DutyRon.